We need to support new and emerging markets. Another theme that comes out very commonly is the need to support proof of concept demonstrators, and I'll come back to that later in the presentation. Having said what I've said about market-focused R&D, it's perceived that we need to continue to support underpinning generic R&D as part of this exercise to nurture emerging technologies. So basically the community wants everything. What that means pragmatically is some kind of balanced portfolio. The trick is where to put that balance, where to prioritize. And that's really the essence of the rest of the presentation, which is about, it's okay, so we know where we are, we know roughly where we want to be, how are we going to get there, what actually is the strategy? Well, the underlying principle behind the advanced materials strategy is about challenge. It's about challenging the materials community to make a difference. To make a difference, as it says here, helping to develop innovative solutions to important problems, and in so doing, supporting UK economic growth and competitiveness. Now that's a very top level and broad statement, and clearly we do need to focus down and to prioritize beneath that. And I've used a number of inputs to help me prioritize the strategy that I'll present to you in a couple of minutes. First of all, it will build on previous strategies. This is not a clean sheet of paper time. It's about building on what we've already got, much of which is already pretty strongly based. I've also used more recent analyses of sector drivers and barriers and so on, and taken account of the community feedback that I've just described to you. We have to take into account government policy. Patrick has already mentioned the Sainsbury report. A number of the recommendations that come out of that are things that we look to build on here in this strategy. And last but not least, I have to take into account the overarching strategy of the Technology Strategy Board. And incidentally, that top-level strategy will be launched and published on May the 8th, in a couple of weeks' time. But also to look at the TSB's investment criteria. And I'd like to spend just a couple of minutes talking to you about these, because actually these criteria are the things that underpin all of our investment decisions. When we look to make decisions about where we want to put investment, these are the 4 criteria that we use. So it's important, I think, for you as a community to know what they are, as well as people like me within the TSB to understand them. So the first one is, can we do it? And the we here is the UK. The question is, has the UK, through its science and industrial bases, got the capacity both to develop and exploit the technology that we're talking about? The second criterion is the idea ripe? Is the science developed enough to underpin the technology and its implementation? Can we overcome the competitive activity in other countries? It's really all about being in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing to get the right impact. So it's about timeliness of any intervention. The third criterion, will it sell enough? What is the size of the global market opportunity? Does the market opportunity offer us a big enough prize to think about making significant investments at a particular time? And finally and importantly, thinking about, can we, where we here as the Technology Strategy Board, make a difference? What is it about a TSB investment or intervention that is going to make the difference? What added value do we bring? Why shouldn't the community, industry, spend its own money to develop whatever it is looking to the TSB for investment to do? So those are important criteria. And based on those and the other inputs that I described earlier, and I'm now coming to the meat of the presentation, the 4 priority areas which I see for the next 3-year period at least are these. First of all, materials for energy. This is all about supporting the supply of secure, clean and affordable energy. This will build on activities already in play through, for example, our collaborative R&D program, and will lead us into a wider investment in what I've called sustainability. This will be focused on transport, on construction, but also addressing this sort of wider agenda of reduce, reuse and recycle. And it's really these two areas, materials for energy and the sustainable use of materials, which will form the core of our investment over the next 3 years in the advanced materials area. That said, we will be looking to support other market-specific activity, and the two that we'll focus on will be healthcare and the creative industries. Healthcare is an area where, as we heard from Tony Anson this morning, is an area where materials technology is already recognised as having a significant role to play. We already have programs in place in this area, and we'll continue to build on those over the coming years. Creative industries is a very different beast. Creative industries is an area that is new to the Technology Strategy Board altogether. It's an area where materials technology probably hasn't been recognised as having a role to play, or a significant role to play. I believe it probably has, and so part of our activity going forward will be to look at opportunities in this new and relatively broad market sector. So what this means is that any investment we make addressing any market or technology-specific activities will be focused through these 4 generic challenge areas. We'll be looking for opportunities for cross-sector collaborations, and obviously for the transfer of technology between sectors, as well as knowledge transfer. So it's really all about taking this strong and diverse UK S&T base that you see in the boxes at the bottom of this slide, focusing them through the key challenge areas, aiming at outputs in the form of value products or value processes, which can then be exploited, hopefully, in multiple market sectors, be that energy, aerospace, transport, and so on. So it's very much a challenge-led approach. I just wanted to return, before I finish, to some issues to do with process, and in particular to this issue of continuity of funding. What I'm aiming to show here is really a typical product development cycle. And on the left-hand axis, you see TRL, or Technology Readiness